What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Daily Groomer podcast. I'm your host, Alex Martin, and today I'm sitting down with Kylee Hudson. Kylee is a former gym franchisee. She knows the gym world, and now she's actually the owner of something I think many of you guys might know well, Hydra Dog, the big blue dogs on the street. That is a 30-something unit mobile franchise operation. And if you haven't seen it, there are these big blue fiberglass dogs that are running around on four wheels across the U.S. I was just telling Kylee before I hit record that I don't know much about HydroDog's, so I brought her on today to kind of lift up the curtain and show us what HydroDog's doing, what they've been up to, and to get to meet Kylee a little bit. So Kylee, thanks so much for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity.
So Kylee, from gyms to dog grooming, take me back to those early days. Why did you make the shift?
I think like most people, was on accident. That's sort of how I got into franchising as well. My background is healthcare. And so here I am completely in a different direction than I ever imagined my life to be. And super excited and happy about it. So I transitioned into mobile grooming or the pet industry from fitness, like Alex said, and it's been a breath of fresh air. The oversaturated fitness industry is usually the more like sexy brands that everyone wants to go towards, and maybe the less sexy is the service brands, and maybe including mobile dog grooming. Everyone thinks you're going to smell like wet dog all day long, right? But when you look at the meat of the companies or the industries, the pet industry is where it's at. Dog owners are some of the best people in the entire world, and getting to work with them every day is incredible. So I transitioned into Hydra Dog and fell in love with the brand Hydra Dog because I'm just a small town Nebraska girl, and I love the community and being part of a community. So I now live in Omaha, but being able to, Hydra Dog has ability to, we care for our neighborhoods, we care for our communities, we get involved, and we're part of everything. The business side of Hydra Dog is incredible, and I'm so proud of what we've built recently for our franchisees and those that'll come on. But yeah, I don't know. I guess I don't have a really good reason how I transitioned or why I transitioned. It happened, and I'm so happy it did.
I feel like that's how the best things do happen, though, is they're just like by chance. Sometimes if you like look too hard for something, you end up not being able to find it. I'm curious because like you're right, the gym industry is so saturated. And like I don't know it from the business side. Like I'm on the outside, right? I'm a gym goer. I don't run a gym business or anything like that. Never have. But you're right. It does seem like it's so saturated. It's almost like there's so much supply, and sometimes it might feel like there's not enough demand, especially during COVID, right? Versus grooming, I feel like it's a lot. It's 100% flipped. It's a 180, right? There's a ton of people that want it or need it, and not enough people servicing it. Is that one of the attractive parts that made you make that like shift?
I'd like to say yes, because that's what makes the most sense. It was, and I loved our gyms. We owned a niche gym. It was fantastic. It was so fun. Yeah. And by chance, we just ended up selling them. We weren't going to sell them. We were going to do it in addition to. But the pet industry has, I didn't know anything about the pet industry. I mean, I have a dog, but, and she's a standard poodle, so she's high maintenance and grooming. But I knew nothing about this industry. I knew franchising. I've been in franchising for a couple decades, owning multi-unit franchises, scaling them, selling them. We own another franchise outside of Hydra Dog currently. My husband's in franchise development. Like we are just franchising is where it's at. And to see an opportunity like Hydra Dog, and it was new at the time, very, very new, in being able to build and develop it alongside the original founder. It was just, I guess, an opportunity or a challenge that I wanted to take.
So I'm going to be brash here, but I'm sure it's a question you've got before. So before this, we were talking about that, like you're like a fitness girl. You like to work out. I would imagine when you own some of the gyms, like you would go in, you would probably do some of the classes, et cetera, right? Obviously, you have a dog, so I would imagine you are maybe using HydroDog for your mobile grooming as well. But you're not a groomer. You don't have a history of dog grooming.
Oh,
And
funny you should ask that, because when I first got into Hydra Dog, I didn't know anything about, but I went to grooming school.
no way.
Learn how to groom. Do I do it every day? Am I great at it? No.
Well, this is why we hit the record button, Kylee. Okay, so you went to grooming school. So you got like a an early dose of, get me right into the fire as you were buying into Hydra Dog.
Yeah, I wanted to learn everything. I guess that's how I learn, is I'm like, just dive in, and I'm like, I need to do it to know how to do it. And like, it's a hard job. It is exhausting. And playing with dogs all day, that's what you say, like, oh, you get to play with dogs all day. It's not just playing with dogs. Like, it is a tough job. And it's an art. I didn't know that you could wash a dog wrong. You could definitely wash a dog wrong. And I was washing dogs wrong.
That is so funny. I bet that actually got you a little bit of respect when you were probably first starting to hire groomers for the business, right?
Maybe. I don't know how to tell a lot of people that. I mean, I don't know if everyone even knows that I did that.
That's crazy. I mean, honestly, big kudos though, because I was just I was going into it to give you a hard time, because I do feel like, from groomer operators out there, that might look and be like, oh, well, sometimes I'm a little hesitant because they might throw out, and I disagree with this, might throw out the, what does she know? Right.
Right. No.
But it's cool. Like, obviously that gives you the insights on, all right, from a day-to-day, experience perspective, here's what, my team is doing and going through. And it maybe gives you a new angle on like what you can do to make their lives better.
Yeah. Oh, I hope so. Yeah. It can't
That's
hurt.
really cool. As you, yeah. So as you started with Hydra Dog, and you got in there, obviously there's a whole world of things that you don't know. But I bet there actually is some things that you were able to draw upon from your previous franchising and even just like small business experience, right? Mm-hmm. What are some of the first things that you did and you felt comfortable doing as you kind of waded into this new venture?
My first project, I guess, as CEO, as we beginning of 2023, when my business partner and I took over the brand, was just to clean it up. Being in franchising is, your brand needs to be strong, and it needs to be strong and cohesive nationwide, right? And the idea of Hydra Dog is amazing. You'll see it everywhere, tons of PR, but the structure wasn't so much there. And I like structure. I think everybody likes structure. Everyone knows their lane, right? And so my first, I guess, goal was to put structure into place, and to put the importance of structure into place. We're better as a big team than we are individually. It's going to grow my local groomer location here in Elkhorn, Nebraska, all the way down from Texas. Like, everyone working together, it just builds each other up, and then you have that teammate too. Like,
and you're saying structure. I mean, if you don't mind, give me a little bit more insight into what that means. Does that mean like, all right, hey, Alex is taking customer calls in a different way than Kylee is, and so let's like standardize that? Or, Alex is using a certain shampoo and Kylie's using a different one, let's standardize that? Like, what structures needed to be put in place, or what are the first ones you noticed? Good
point. It goes even deeper than that. Like, we let our owners make their, because like here in, like I always say, like, Elkhorn's very different than, I don't know, Kansas City. Well, not really Kansas City, but like Chicago, right? Like, you're the only one that knows your community. And so there's going to be differences, and we respect that. So the structures that are in place were just like resources, continuing education, vendor partnerships, the things that when you buy into a franchise, that should be there, that checkbox list of, you don't have to know anything about the pet industry. You don't even have to know grooming to be part of Hydra Dog. We'll teach you everything. This is going to probably cause a little bit of stir in this podcast, but it is like, you can teach someone to groom. We can teach anyone to groom. You can't really teach people to truly love dogs in their community or have a work ethic that it does take in mobile grooming. You're by yourself. You need to be a self-starter. You need to be organized. And so my first thing when I say structures or systems is that checkbox, putting together that checkbox and being a resource and making people understand what they're paying their royalty for.
That's really, I mean, I bet even just like the barest bones of structure probably went a long way, because, you know, we talk about it a lot on the episode, is like you have to wear so many different hats in the mobile grooming world, right? Like you're a part-time mechanic, you're a part-time customer service representative, you're a part-time dog groomer, right? And so, you know, just anything on paper, right, probably makes life just a tad bit easier.
Backbone so that you know who to call. Like, if you know, like, who's my resource, like, not to panic, like, okay, I know what to do next, like, this is what I do next, I can figure this out, instead of just that. I mean, it is hard, you're by yourself, you panic and you're like, my whole day's off. Off. But it's not always, shouldn't have to be that stressful.
Yeah, definitely. Talk to me about, all right, so HydroDog's, I said 30 something in the beginning, 30 something units on the road today, spread across the US. What's been the hardest part? Obviously, like a lot of us and a lot of people in the community are owner operators. You know, maybe they're not even owners yet, or maybe want to be owners. But you know, less than 30, right? A lot of single units, or, you know, single storefronts, you know, maybe even a few mobile units, et cetera, but definitely more on the lower side. Talk to me about, like, what have been some of the hardest parts of growing the business, even if it's just adding an extra unit or adding an extra franchisee. What are some of those operational challenges?
So we'll back up just a little bit. So the original leadership team only offered owner operators. So the majority of our franchisees that are in the system began as owner operators until our 2024 FDD. They weren't allowed to have employees or scale, like add trucks. So it was a tiny little
one-to-one deal.
Yeah. So you had.
So, I mean, you were scaling it like it was scaling like any other, you know, non-franchise business, pretty much.
Yeah. So it was like they had one truck in their 10,000 household territory, and most were booked within 6 months, and they have not taken a new client since. But they're also buying their next job, which is fine. I've got plenty of businesses where I go all in. But having the ability to know when you can step out, like grooming is hard. It's a hard work. And you can't do that for decade after decade. And so having that way to step out, or understand that you can scale and hire and train and have other people run your business for you. That was a good goal. Some of the struggles that we had in developing, or that we've had in developing, I don't know. For me, I always look at it like, what do I want if I were to be buying this business?
Yeah.
And it was that we weren't ready to sell. We weren't ready to award franchisees because we didn't have our back office put together. We could help someone come on, and we could help someone like to be successful in their neighborhood, but it wasn't something that we could like say, yeah, come on with Hydra Dog. A reason to like, should you start it on your own, or should you start it with a franchise? There wasn't. I'm like, I don't know. I couldn't tell you why you should join us versus going on your own. And I'm very transparent and honest. So I'm not going to sell anyone into anything. I'm going to educate you, and I hope that you join us. But so building up that reason and making it so that it's like, yeah, I want to be part of Hydra Dog because they offer this, this, and this. This is what my 10-year partnership will look like, because it's a partnership for 10 years. And so having someone truly like wear that blue and like love it and understand why they're here, that was probably the biggest challenge, and what I've spent all year doing. And it continues to evolve too.
Wow. Okay. I had to pause for a second, write down a couple questions so I didn't lose track of them. I'm curious, have you guys had, since I think you said it was 2024, as of this year, it's now allowed that your franchisees, so the former groomer operators, maybe still current groomer operators, can open up another van, right? They don't have to be a one-to-one type of thing. Have you guys had anyone jump on that opportunity yet?
We had a handful jump right away. So since like June, so we had Spencer up in Seattle. He is a really good example. So he started as an owner operator. He was like me, like dogs, but had no clue how to groom. So he was trained to groom, and he's operating 3 units now outside of Seattle. I think
Is he still grooming?
he just stepped out this summer. So now he's
Okay.
working on his business instead of
Perfect.
in his business, and likely to add another one here beginning of the
Well,
year, end of year.
I love that this is top of mind, because then I want to ask you, because this is so recent, what's needed for him to do it? I find, running the podcast, talking to people in the community, that like seriously, one of the hardest things to grasp, whether you're an expert or whether you're brand new, is taking that step out from groomer operator in the business every day. I have a book of clients that I love. They love me. They know me. They only let me groom their dogs.
Right.
Okay, I'm going to be out of it. And whether it's a succession plan, so I can eventually leave the business, or a scaling plan, so I can add another location, another unit, etc. Taking that jump, it's like a big black box. It's like I'm jumping over the Grand Canyon.
Okay.
It seems so challenging. I know there's a lot of room you could talk about there, but talk to me just from like a fundamental level, what you have to do to be able to make that jump and expect.
Yeah. Well, I think you have to be confident in your business and what you do. You have to hire correctly. You got to hire that person that not only can do the skills, have the skills and do the job, but someone that you can trust and work close with. Example, Spencer has done a wonderful job. He knows exactly who he wants to hire. He can train them to do every aspect of the job because he's worked at every aspect of the job. And just, it's that ongoing training so that you don't just like throw someone to the wolves. But for him to step out, I do think it's that trust, and it is giving up control, right?
That's so hard.
But it is, unless you have the right support and you have the right systems in place. And then it's just a repeatable pattern on how you're going to grow and how you can teach someone else to do what you did. Everyone loves their groomer.
Yeah.
But like with a brand or with a franchise, it's not always the groomer.
Right.
The groomer makes a difference. Like you could have, like Hydra Dog is a proven brand. We'll give you all the steps that you need to be successful. But ultimately, you have to be a good person. You have to be nice. You have to have customer service, and you have to have skills to groom a dog. But in the end, like everyone stays with Hydra Dog too.
Yeah.
So I think those structures and him be able to repeat the process has worked for him because he's had his groomers and he has hardly any turnover.
Okay. Wow. That's crazy. I always think about too, it's like, let's say you can never mentally make that jump, right? To scale or like a succession plan. Like a lot of that is that fear that these are my clients, they love me, they're never going to love somebody else, etc. But what I like to say, and just let's do a hypothetical. If you never do make that jump or plan, eventually, like when you're done grooming or when you're done running your business and you don't have that succession plan or you don't have whatever, like you're gonna, I don't want to say screw over those clients, but like now they're out of a groomer anyways. And like, at the end of the day, at some point, they're either going to go find somebody else on their own, or you're going to make that plan for them and take care of it.
You haven't done that client very good justice either along the way if they've just sold themselves and like I'm the only one that can groom your dog. No one else can do it. Well, it doesn't say much for your business really then.
Yeah, right.
Because you should be able to, it should be a repeatable, and you should be proud of your business, just like in any other business. Like, okay, sure, no one loves your business as much as you do.
Yeah.
However, you should love the whole business, not just your capabilities and your skills. You should share it with others.
You talked about, was it Kyle? Is that his name up in Seattle?
Spencer.
Apologize, Spencer.
That's okay.
Spencer up in Seattle, moving from that groomer operator to more of an operator function. and you talked about the support that, Hydra Dog offers. Now let's pretend, I don't want to pretend Hydra Dog doesn't exist, but let's pretend that it's not Hydra Dog and someone is trying to make that jump from, groomer operator in the van, running the business every day, wearing all those hats, to I'm going to hire a groomer to take over this van and maybe get another van, right?
Mm-hmm.
What kind of support is necessary for that level of change?
It's the same as it would be with HydroDog. If it's your shop and you're adding mobile to your brick and mortar, or you're wanting to add a second truck, it's working as a team, understanding that it's your business that's successful. It can survive without you if you give people the skills to run it. If you give them that sense of ownership. In mobile, it's can be very isolating, very lonely. And everyone needs that sense of ownership, or like that in responsibility. And so I think you as a leader are in charge of that. Whether if you want to step away and delegate tasks, you have to be a leader and supportive and hire the person that's going to do a better job than you. And some people don't like that when someone's better at something than them. I love having people that are smarter and better at things than me on my team, because it just helps me grow too.
Yeah. And it's like, if you can lower your guard and be open to that and be accepting that they might be better at this than you are, then you can probably up level your game quite a bit.
Yeah. Like, look, my business is still successful and they're way better at it than I am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You mentioned Spencer has low turnover.
Yeah.
I'm curious, do you guys have any observations or advice when it comes to like groomer retention? I know some of that stuff we've already talked about, like
It's
sense
tough.
of ownership and stuff like that definitely plays a part. But I didn't know if there's anything you could add to that list, because you're right, that I feel like that's probably the hardest part of the whole thing, right? Whether you're at a Hydra Dog level or whether you're at an individual level, like
But
keeping
it's not just grooming either. It's employees in general. It's hard. It's the same at the gyms. Like, it's the same finding someone that loves your business as much as you do. And I think what we found with the owner operators that have added and have been successful on retention, and the same as what I would say to someone that is their local grooming shop, would be is just hire on personality, hire on someone that is going to be a good teammate for you. Well, we're talking about Spencer, so we'll stay here, but he knows exactly who he's going to hire.
Mm-hmm.
He is very specific on it. He's the same. He trains the same each time. He's very consistent. But at the end of the day, he hires on personality and who he's going to get along with, right? And who's going to work best for his company. Maybe not the best, like the highest skill level. It could, but
no, I mean, I actually love that. That's just a great byline, is like hire on personality. That's like not advice that's given enough. Because at the end of the day,
on you, like, you can't hire me because you don't like, you can't not hire me because you don't like me. I'm like, well, I mean, but you don't like me either. So why would
right, why are we going to do this to ourselves?
This is not going to be a good relationship, and we have to work together.
Yeah.
Every single day. And I mean, we're all far too old. Like, we should have fun every single day. Like, your job should be work. You're at your job for more often than you're not. So you should be having fun.
And, that helps avoid burnout too. I mean, that helps avoid, awkward, and terrible conversations that could come because we're not getting along. I mean, it just.
And pay. I mean, it's money too. Money sells too. So take care of your employees.
Yeah.
That sense of ownership, that really good pay. Like, you make a lot of money in mobile grooming. And as an owner, don't be selfish with it. Like treat your groomers well.
I like that. How do you guys plan on maintaining this like high ownership, high energy, like high quality care that you guys currently offer at your size as you continue to grow?
We're just getting started. What's coming for next year is so exciting. I can't even speak of most of it, but we're just getting started. We just ended up cleaning up, and now we have a brand that we feel like is moving. Like, foundation is always going to be for us grooming, right? That's mobile grooming. But as groomers, you're responsible for so much more, or you have the ability for so much more that I don't think anyone gives the groomers credit. Like, my dog sees the groomer far more than they see the vet.
Right. So maybe adding in some wellness.
First line of wellness comes with grooming.
Yeah. Educating
the client and providing the client with resources that help them keep their dog healthy and happy. There's a veterinarian shortage. So, I mean, it's hard to find vets sometimes too, or the length of time, the expense. So yeah, we do plan on moving over to wellness, and adding that also adds more streams of revenue for the owners. And then technology is huge. So we have a big play in technology coming.
Oh my gosh, you guys are taking a lot of swings at that here.
Yeah, I mean,
one of these I would have been like, oh my gosh, that's a big swing. But you're just, yeah, what else do we have? Another, Well,
I told you this year we've completely rewrote everything. Not everything, because there was, Hydra Dog is, I feel
There's some good history there. Yeah.
Like, there was a foundation there, and we have really good owners on the ground right now. And we will always have that place for the owner operator.
Yeah.
That's where we started, right?
Yeah.
But we also have a place where people are buying, like Kansas City Metro just got bought out. So, I mean, that guy plans to have 40 trucks.
Oh my gosh.
Next year. That's insane. He's super aggressive. Like, oh my gosh.
40, that's bigger than Hydra Dog today.
Right. He has 5 right now, but I'm like, he is insane. And then we have like we'll say the normal people, right? They're like, well, yeah, I'll start with 1 with the goal of 5. And I'm like, that sounds great. We'll work with you on getting that second one. We got to get that first one full first. And hiring the hero, the groomer is the hero of our brand.
Yeah.
Because without them, we wouldn't be a brand. So
do you guys have like what would with all of this stuff going on? Obviously, you're going to be. I don't know how you're going to do it personally, because that's a lot of stuff, and obviously you're going to lean on your team, I'd imagine. But if all things go well, I mean, where will Hydra Dog be at this point next year? Do you think, in terms of locations wise or number of operators?
It's really hard to tell. We are not going to just give away. Like, we're going to be picky on who comes into the system. We don't want to grow too fast and get over our head. We want to make sure that every franchisee is taken care of and feels supported. And so I can't give you a number.
I didn't, some teams have, hey, if all things go well, we're going to hit X number of mobile units on the vans or on the road by next year. I had a question pop up while you were talking about the Kansas City territory. Okay. Do you guys in your business today see vans or labor as kind of like the biggest like moat towards growth, right? And what I mean by that is like, is it trickier to get 40 vans or trickier to get 40 high quality groomers?
Oh, probably the groomers. And again, it depends. Once you get the momentum building though, the groomers like are waiting at your door. They're like, let me know when you're hiring next. Let me know when you're hiring. I have a friend too that wants to come over. And so it does like build, like you're building that momentum in that team. And then the groomers are just, they want to be part of it. And so that's awesome. Super fun.
You talked about how big of a pillar community is to Hydra Dog. Can you, I think that's unique, honestly, for like a big brand like your guys's, right? Like in Dallas here, I know most of the mobile groomers, and they're pretty close with their little neighborhoods or suburbs or, townships, etc. But as a big brand, I can imagine that might be quite difficult. Talk to me what role like community plays at Hydra Dog and like how you guys keep that at such a core part of your brand.
Sure. I'll say like Hydra Dog is and will be a big brand. It's a nationwide brand, right? However, everyone is locally owned. So I'm again Omaha, Midwest, so we're all like about family and farm, right? So I understand that where it's like you are locally owned. Nothing's worse than it's like, oh, that's a franchise that will support them. I'm like, but it's owned locally. Like your neighbor owns the business, and so each Hydra Dog has a different local marketing strategy. We really hone in on what's going on in that neighborhood, in that community, be part of the schools, get back to the rescues, the no-kill shelters. And we have, the original founder was huge on this. And again, just a small town girl that just loves the community. So I'm definitely supportive of continuing on to it. He started what's called Bathe to Save. We continue on with the philanthropy side of things, where it's their fun events. Like we held one, well, there was, I don't know if you follow the weather at all. Florida's getting it now in the spring.
Right.
We got hit with some of the biggest tornadoes. It was some really rough weeks. My kids still have a little PTSD from sirens. It was crazy, but our neighborhood or our town got hit pretty hard.
Right.
So we took that opportunity to get the community together. We have a small, like, old town, Elkhorn is what it's called. So it's this cute, still downtown area.
Yeah.
So we got all the business owners together. We got all the trucks in the parking lot, and we wash dogs for a donation. Like, all of our time is free. We take donations, and all that money then goes back, and we took the money and put it back into supplies needed for building up those neighborhoods again. We can do that for like that, a community event, but it started with rescues. So we did one with like the Good Life Bulldog Rescue here, where we'll have everyone come and have beers on the patio, and then we'll wash their dogs for free, or for a donation. And the Good Life Rescue takes the donations, and then all of that is applied to the dogs' surgery needs or medical costs or whatever they need to help get these dogs adopted. We'll have an adoption day while we're there. But it's fun because all the community trucks come. Our biggest one was in Kansas City. I think we had people come from Rachel. We had, I think, 18 trucks show up. It was so fun.
I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah. We washed all the shelter dogs before the event started, and then we washed the community dogs for like 4 hours. And it's super fun. We did one on Jersey Shore on the boardwalk as the dogs came off out of the ocean. That was just
so cool.
Sandy mess for the
yeah.
So being able to just give our time in order to raise money allows you to get to know the neighborhood. It allows you to be part of the community, allows you to give back, which I think is super important that we all do. And so that is a huge part of our brand. Each owner can choose what they want to do with it. We give them the structure on how to do an event, and support them. We show up when we can. I love it.
I know. I mean, I love it. And like I said, I mean, I do really appreciate the fact about you guys that you keep that feel, because again, I do feel like, for worse, not even for better or worse, but for worse, I mean, it seems like the bigger you get as a company, the less you lose, or the less you mobilize with the community and like keep doing the events. So it's really cool to hear that you guys are that big and still doing like programs like Bathe to Save. I mean, that's really cool. And I bet you're right. It almost has like, as you were talking about that, I had like Ace Hardware in my head. It almost has like an Ace Hardware effect where, you know what I mean though? Where like, I don't even view Ace personally as like a franchise or as like a large company. I view them as like my local hardware shop, right? Because of just like the community events and all that sort of stuff going on there. And I know it's so weird and silly, but like I seriously was getting visions of that as you were just talking there.
And we're always gonna you can have like the big city investors who wants to buy all of Atlanta. But we're also gonna have that person. I mean, our overhead or our initial investment is pretty low. And because it still allows those people that are looking to get into franchising or looking to switch careers. Like we have Paul, who's like basically he retired from. He was a mechanic for years. Now he runs his own truck here outside of town, and to have that ability too, where this is like his fun retirement job. So you have that person that's just getting started, or the Spencers in the world. Like he started not knowing what he was getting into, and now he's scaled. Same with like down in Lake Charles, like she scaled really quickly. She added a second truck within 3 months of opening hers, but she had a grooming shop out of her house. So the minute she started the first one, it was full. So
there's opportunities for everyone.
We want to make sure that there's a place for everyone at Hydra Dog. Whether you want giant Atlanta or small town outside. Yeah.
No, I love it. I want to give you a chance, Kylie, to shout out where people can learn more about Hydra Dog.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can go to our website, HydroDog.com, and click on the franchise. And then you can learn more. Your first intro call is with me. So we'll walk through everything. I like to get to know people that are interested in Hydra Dog and make sure that we're a good fit for you and you're a good fit for us. But yeah, the website is the easiest place to go. And then at the top, you just click franchise.
Perfect. And everyone out there that listens knows if you guys ever want to get a hold of Kylie and can't, let me know and I'll be happy to reach out on your behalf.
Yeah.
Kylie, thanks so much for coming on today and giving us some insight into Hydra Dog here. It was really cool to learn. And honestly, we didn't even get to talk about the coolest part, which are the vans. But thanks so much anyways for just coming on and sharing everything that you guys are doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for the opportunity, Alex.
Of course. And we'll talk soon, I'm sure.
Sounds good. Bye.
That's the pod.